how do you want your dumplings? We sat silent for far longer than I could bear at my parents' flat in Bukit Panjang. I studied the man in front of me in a salmon pink Ralph Lauren shirt and beige pants. His clean-shaven face was missing the characteristic thick moustache that my uncles and cousins in Kerala wore as a symbol of ultimate manhood. Apart from his name, Kunnatta Vittu Shakti Menon, aka KV Shakti Menon, there was very little to give away the fact that he was born and bred in India. Do you want to get out of here? I asked, hoping that perhaps he would open up once we were out of the watchful eyes of our parents and relatives. While our families seemed to be engaged in their own conversation about the well-being of relatives in Kerala, I could have sworn that all ears were in fact straining to hear our conversation. Yes, came the swift reply. Is there an Indian place around here? I'm starved for Indian food. His heavily American accented speech bore no traces of his Indian roots. We made our way to the ground floor of my parents' flat, where there were 3 coffee shops, a wet market, 2 bakeries, and even 2 mini marts. The amenities had been the biggest draw for my parents when they bought the place. My mother was elated to finally move into a place that allowed her to whip up her meals in a jiffy. She could pick up a crispy, deep-fried spring chicken from Hing's Barbecue and fried chicken store, 2 or 3 vegetables dishes from the Malay or Chinese stores, and spicy fish curry from the Indian store. She cooked the rice at home, of course. One could not get the Palakkad and Matta rice from Kerala at the coffee shops. The rice was supposed to be the healthiest and had the most unique flavor that my father loved. My mother didn't care too much for it, but it made her husband happy, as it reminded him of his mother's cooking. On days that she wanted to cook up the meals from scratch, she got the Indian Muslim stallholder at the coffee shop to make her fresh parathas and chop it up on the tawa. Returning home, all she had to do was to dice the onions and the large green chilies, fry the minced lamb with house-brand curry powders, all-purpose curry masala, add an egg, and finally toss in the paratha. And lo and behold, that it became kotta paratha. It took her only 20 minutes to cook, and that was her idea of a truly home-cooked meal. I picked the stall that had the best Indian food and got Shakti seated at the far end of the coffee shop. Anne, rendu mee goreng mera, orupa kuda podunga, I added in Tamil, remembering that Shakti had mentioned wanting something hot and spicy. The storeholder pointed to the items on display that were meant for Indian Bhojan and waited for me to tell him if I wanted any extras added to any dish. I picked out a boiled egg, a fried fish cake, and fried tofu, and raised my finger to indicate I wanted just the extras for 1 mee goreng dish. 1 vegetarian and 1 of these, I added, just to be sure that he got the message. I stood there watching the storeholder, throwing the yellow noodles into the bowl, dousing it with his special mixture of tomato sauce and sambal chili that gave it a distinctive red color. He added additional green chilies as I had asked for mine to be made extra hot. My thoughts drifted back to the stranger waiting for me at the table. If all goes well, in a few months, he would no longer be 1. In fact, I would have been married to him. I'm going to skip to another part to end this section. I returned to the table, gingerly holding in both hands the plates of hot mee goreng. I placed the one that was laden with all the extra yummy ingredients in front of him. Here, eat it while it's hot. It's the best Indian food in Bukit Panjang. Indian food? How is this Indian? I could have kicked myself. I had not realized that for someone who was raised in India, he was probably looking for a more traditional fare of idli and dosha, all of which was a 40-minute trip down to Little India from Bukit Panjang. Thank you.